What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your daily astrology horoscope for Wednesday, April 5th, 2023. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, fixed air moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. Well, thank you so much for being here and happy full moon in Libra. I hope it is happy for you. It's quite the full moon. Let's take a look at that full moon. It's going to be at 16 degrees of Libra, opposite the sun at 16 Aries. Sun Chiron today on this Wednesday. And this full moon is opposite that Sun Chiron conjunction in Aries. This is an interesting full moon. I think that this is very much heightened emotions around relationships, of course, harmony, alignment, balance, relationships, Libra. But this is where I think when we're looking at this Sun Chiron opposite this moon, heightening the emotions, I think we're in a place where we can definitely be putting, our wounds onto other people. Ask yourself this question. Are what maybe other people are doing that are irking you, does it have something to do with maybe something you need to deal with within yourself? I think a lot of this full moon is people are definitely reflecting our relationships. They're reflecting what is maybe in alignment or out of alignment in maybe an intense and heightened way. But are we really going to just put all of it on something outside of ourselves? Or are we going to take, the responsibility with the Sun Chiron here to heal ourselves, to heal our egos even, instead of maybe projecting our own wound on our ego onto someone else, something? So I think we have to be really honest and judicial with our emotions today. They're going to be heightened, they're going to be intense, of course, but we got to come to some sense of fairness here. If we're just saying that everything is something else, my wounds are because of this, and this, are we actually coming back to ourselves and dealing with issues? So I think a lot of it is identifying that we create the exterior outside of ourselves with people, with everything we build a relationship to, with everything that we build alignment with in life, find alignment, find balance. And I think that that's what this full moon's really trying to get to the bottom of. It's trying to get to, the jury's trying to make their claim here of what they believe is just and right. And we are the judge. We are the jury in our own lives. So I think this is having us, emotionally try to weigh out a lot, or maybe not take responsibility for something or put it on something else. So I think we want to be real honest with ourselves today and look at things and do the work, heal, accept maybe our own flaws that maybe do get portrayed in someone else or something else in our lives. And instead of it just being all about, wow, this, that, and the other outside of me is what's taking, me backwards or throwing me off in life. I think we got to, do the work here, heal ourselves, come to a sense of empowerment. Even if we are not perfect, and guess what, everybody? We're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. We're perfectly imperfect, right? That's what makes us all so similar. We're all so different, all so unique, but that's something we all have. We all have a flaw. We all have something that isn't perfect. So it comes down to both accepting our imperfections and not expecting others to also be that perfect thing that we think something outside of ourselves should be. So I think it comes to a healing within ourselves of a more, true sense of self, not a wounded ego, but a very healed ego here. And this is where relationships can be beautiful. And, we're releasing a lot of things that stop us from having beautiful relationships because we're doing that healing work and taking that self-accountability and, leading forward with the life here that we want to see kick off here. We want to see spring forward. So definitely a big full moon energy when it comes to relationships. Uranus is quincunx, that moon over there in Libra. So again, this is also bringing people into the equation. It's also very Aquarian. We're also dealing with this full moon with Pluto in Aquarius. So I think, we're all trying to figure out how to transform our objectivity in a sense so that we can create new connections. We can create new ways of connecting, new ways of understanding people, something that can kind of make everything come to a win-win in our life in some way, shape, or form. But that's not by giving up your sense of self. It's not by, deferring to somebody else all the time. It's also definitely not by you know, putting the blame on everything that's not in alignment in our lives on to another person. Maybe we want to make that the fallback. But I think we have to try a new way. It's a new way of self-love that reflects in the other. A beautiful thing is that Venus at 24 degrees is going to start really getting tight, applying that sextile to Neptune at 25 Pisces. And that's a, dignified Neptune in Pisces. That's a dignified Venus in Taurus. So that's really, really strong, beautiful energy. I mean, it's definitely it could have a little projection. I mean, that could almost, with Venus and Taurus being about the self too, and relationship to self, and Neptune. I mean, this could be where it's like we also can't just like bypass situations by saying that like, oh, well, my shit don't stink. I'm everything's perfect and in alignment for me. It's everything, again, outside of ourselves. But it also brings a great, great opportunity for compassion, to realize that we're all trying to build ourselves up right now. We're all trying to find solid, form in this reality about how we can take care of ourselves, how we can have more, how we can have stronger, more, sturdy, firm relationships that are built around, I would say an unconditional aspect, so this is very beautiful for loving at the same time. And I think that it's when we take accountability for ourselves, when we, of course, stay strong and know our worth, but at the same time, because we're strong and we know our worth, we're willing to accept flaws within ourselves. Because nobody's perfect. For some reason, I turn this camera on, and that's like the way I feel about this full moon. So, just kind of hit like that. Also, the moon is Mars's dispositor. So Mars in Cancer is disposited by that moon. And Mars is in Cancer, right? So it's very emotional. Mars is also dispositing the Sun and Jupiter and Chiron. So Mars is trying to push a lot of things forward right now, but it's from a sensitive place. It is. It's very emotional. We have to kind of step up emotionally, and I think find a lot of inner strength and inner security with Mars in Cancer here, and stop sidestepping situations. Maybe it's not like a projection for some people, but maybe there is something that needs to be expressed. Mercury's with the North Node. Like we have to definitely still be firm in our values and express what we do want. Maybe we can't expect that to always show up in other things, but we still want to understand our worth and our value without, I think, overdoing it or trying to forget that, other people have values and they're valuable in this reality too. So there's that's the sweet spot. That's the full moon. There's all these heightened emotions around maybe people, situations, contracts. So I think that's kind of what we're up against today. We're seeing Saturn. It's really starting to make good aspects to the nodes. It's at 3 degrees. Mercury's also in that sextile with the North Node. If I clear some of these lines, it is Mercury, sextile Saturn. I think that's where the accountability really shows up. Like we have to take self-accountability to maybe get out of habits that we always do that do not reflect what maybe the actual truth and alignment situation is in our life. And I feel like we could all do this to an extent in our life. Of course, it can be, exacerbated in one person and, minor in another. That's not really important. What's important is that you're doing that healing work within yourself, Aries, the I am, and not projecting it, but taking emotional accountability. And then instead of sidestepping issues, being firm in what you need to say, because you are valuable. And if, trying to come at it from a way that is, I think, compassionate and overall, like, loving for whatever situation showing up in our life. Even though it's very, very emotional time, very emotional day. Always. Full moons, they're beautiful. I love looking at them. But like Christopher Witecki says, it's a wolf in sheep's clothing. And maybe we can feel that way about people. I would say the South Node here, because it is really getting aspected heavily, Mars is coming off and separating from a trine. Saturn's trying that. there's a lot that we can pull from this South Node about sort of the rebirthing in our life and what's getting expelled. Things are getting expelled so that there's new opportunity to find passionate mergers, passionate connections, understanding people on a deeper psychological level, understanding ourselves on a deeper psychological level. Really, I think penetrating to what's just and in alignment in our lives is super important. So I think that's very important. We're also getting ready to see Sun Jupiter. They're going to come within 5 degrees today, start applying their conjunction in Aries. That's nice too. And the moon's going to oppose that into tomorrow morning. But I think this is where we are really illuminating this sort of wisdom that we can hold within a new way of seeing the bigger self within the bigger picture of totality. And even Saturn in Pisces is like, look, there's a lot of different aspects in this universe. We have a lot of work to do in this universe. It's not just physical work. It's spiritual. It's emotional. There's an evolution. There's karmic work. And we all got to with all this water too, with Mars there, and it's like we got to step up emotionally and handle these things and not we don't want to just bypass things. I feel like this is, also a full moon that we could just kind of, I don't want to ruffle feathers. I don't want to, stir the pot, but I'm not, in alignment. But then that builds resentment too. So I think there's a fine line today between speaking up for what you want that's going to bring value into your life, but also not making it all about the other person's the issue. I'm not saying that every individual we are the issue, but we have to look at that first. I think that's the first step is this something that I'm maybe projecting or causing in my life? And if you're doing everything and you've come to that place within your own consciousness and your own self that you don't think so, then say what's on your mind about what, needs to be brought into order. So I do think there's probably going to be some big relationship talks about what can be moving forward, about what things are going to be moving forward, where things are going to go. Is the relationship coming to healing points with, again, romantic, friendship, whatever we're building relationships to, whatever we're in, contractual agreements with too? Is this going forward from a healed place? Or is this repeating patterns that are not healed because the individuals are not healing themselves in these unions? So it takes emotional strength. I think it takes, some grit too. Emotional grit when it's a sensitive time. So very, very, I think this is a really, really good full moon to kick off the first astrological year. And remember that we're just 2 weeks away from a solar eclipse at 29 Aries. So this does feel like the healing moment of getting us into the next 6 months. So yeah, don't bypass this one. Feel it. Feel what needs to be felt. Don't sidestep things. Don't blame. This is not about the blame game. This is really deep self-accountability stuff that we all have to look at ourselves and be really honest and even be vulnerable. And it's okay. It's good to be vulnerable right now. I think even the South Node in Scorpio with Saturn trining it with Mars coming off a trine, we need to be vulnerable. If we're going to use that South Node to get us somewhere and to, bring us something of value, it's to be vulnerable and honest about what the value of our life is and how to get more of what we honestly, deeply feel is that value. To not repeat cycles that are just pushing us further and further away from alignment or from our own sense of healing. And I hope that's very helpful for you all. I hope it's a great full moon for everybody. I hope that everybody's feeling lively, and I think for many people that are really doing that work on themselves, this is where really, really strong bonds can start to, really show about where things are going. I feel like Pluto in Aquarius is going to have us trying to start relating in different ways with people and ourselves. It does become a little detached there. but I think it's objective, where we can peel back and really look at things honestly for what they are, and intelligently and deeply, and emotionally. Pluto's very emotional. So we're starting to like really feel these transformations, and I think it's heightened in a big way, and it can feel like, in some areas not much is in alignment, or nothing is. And for others, it can, really feel like, yeah, I put a lot of work into myself, and I'm finally feeling like I can release that past and release that, karmic journey, so that I can really empower myself moving forward with my values and my spiritual dedications, and, be a powerful force from within. So that's what I got. Tarot, the Magician. Yeah, I think that's outstanding. I think this is a time to, really alchemize our realities, alchemize our relationships. I think that people are magic. People in our lives are the magic gift. They're showing us our tools. They're showing us that we have everything we need to create. Now, they can also maybe, Temperance reversed, maybe rush us or push us in directions that we don't want to go in. Maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe we do need to be, kind of prodded along. And maybe that's what today does, is it brings up a situation that somebody shows where we need to do more work on ourselves, and it kind of pushes us in that direction to get us into more of a divine flow, to have us get into, I guess, seeing more of the where things are really going, and like hopping in that stream in some way. I love the Magician though, two majors. And the Strength, I've been pulling majors it's crazy. Strength upright. That's where it's at. That's the healing. The healing is finding our strength to accept our vulnerabilities, to accept our truths, to accept what we find valuable. I think we need to have compassion and, nurture our inner lion in some way, right? Nurture our strengths with, I think, proving to ourselves that if we need to go make something happen and get into alignment and get into flow, that we can do that. And I think we have to understand too that other people might be doing the same thing. It doesn't mean that they're, out to get us or attacking us or betraying us. And likewise, if that's flip-flopped in our lives. So I think people are going to actually show a lot of courage to start really making the alchemical changes in their life, to get into a really good flow with where things are going. Oh, the Hierophant. I shuffled this card like that whole time I was talking. Shuffled these decks. This deck. The whole time. Gosh, what do you say about the Hierophant reverse on this? That we're really looking for a place to find strength and dedicate, that's stable long term, that we want to commit to, that we want to really stay on the path for. So if we're not feeling that, I think this is a good day to show us what that can be. And the Six of Cups in reverse. Definitely moving forward, not going backwards. Everything's moving forward. Pluto's in Aquarius. It's Aries season. There's a lot that's moving forward. And it can feel like there's just no switch there. There's no light bulb pop in. Don't, blame somebody that the light turned off. Empower yourself. Find that strength. Know that this is you who guides your way, that finds the path. So, happy full moon. I will be on later today to do horoscopes for all 12 signs. So if you want to see that, I'll be live probably 6 p.m. on the West Coast. So hope to see you then. Love you all very much. Have a beautiful day. Happy full moon. Peace.